It's your girl, Michelle D.I., Mrs. Divine Intervention herself. To all my helper bees out there, you know who you are. Those that are always helping everyone else and neglecting yourself. Yes, boo, look in the mirror. I'm talking to you. Here to let you know God has not forgotten about you. I've been sent on divine assignment. It's time for Reflections Choosing Me Guilt Free. That means 30 minutes for your mind, your body, spirit, and emotions. And don't act like you don't have time. You have time for everyone and everything else. Sit back and relax because if you're here, that means this show is for you or it's for someone you know. But most likely, it's for both of y'all. Deep breaths, love. Let's go. Hey, family. Hey, family. Hey, family. It is your girl, Michelle Allen Franklin. Yes, Mrs. Michelle D.I. Why? You know, boo, for divine intervention, honey, because there are no coincidences in this world. Only God's divine intervention in our lives. And Mrs. Community Builder, why? Because you know your girl's going to give you the good information, boo. The things you need for your mind, your body, your spirit, and your emotions. And family, y'all are hearing my voice. I'm live fresh today. What that mean? That mean it's Monday, boo. And it's 1:00 and it is time. Yes. For reflections, choosing me guilt free. Yeah, we on the radio. I love it. I love it. I love it. God is blessing me to do what I love to do, which is pouring back to the community, giving education, giving you the things that you need. Y'all know y'all been listening to your girl and watching the replays on the YouTube channel. That is Reflections CMGF, Reflections Choosing Me Guilt Free. If you missed any of the episodes, honey, don't worry about it, boo. I got you. Yes, it's on the YouTube channel. It's available. Yep, every episode since January. We've been here. We've been doing this. Yep, we here. We are here. So, yes, you can go over and check out any and all of the replays over on the YouTube channel. That is Reflections CMGF. That's Reflections Choosing Me Guilt Free. Reflections CMGF at YouTube. We have started our self love journey, family. And, this is very personal, very, very personal. This self love journey. We talked about these past couple of weeks what it means to actually love yourself. Last week, we talked about self neglect, you know, and that is not love. You can say that you love yourself because that's what I was doing. I was saying that I loved myself, but my actions were not aligning with the words. You understand these words that are coming out of my mouth? They were not aligning with the words that were coming out of my mouth. Now, if you're like me, then it's sometimes, right? Sometimes you're consistent and sometimes you're not. And it's the little things that we do not even think about as being a part of this self love journey, but it is the very little things that we are shining a light on. And we're going to be doing this the rest of the year, family. So today, we are focusing on some numbers. One of the episodes at the very beginning I did called Know Your Numbers. All of that episode was not captured for whatever reason it was at that period of time. And so I'm going to go back and look at that and give you some more information. So we're looking at your labs today. Yeah, your test results. Why is it important in your self love journey for you to know where you are, to know what your labs are? Your labs are more than just numbers, family. They tell the story of what's happening inside of your body. And so often, more than not, you may or may not feel symptoms, right? But I want you to keep this in mind as we journey along these last few weeks of this year. My people are destroyed. It's a scripture. hmm My people are destroyed for lack of knowledge. How many of us just ignore, just going, just ignoring? You know you need to go to the doctor. Your head been hurting, your eye been twitching, your eyes been getting blurry. Like me, your legs been swelling. Right? But you just going on doing all of the things. Your blood pressure been running high. Your blood sugar doing what it do. Uh-huh. Yeah. We're going to look at these things today. We're just going to take a deep dive into what are the most important labs? What are these labs? Why are they important? I always feel like, your girl's a nurse. I've been a nurse for 25 years. And so I always feel like I'm visual. And so when I give you just a little visual and break that thing down, and helps people to understand a little bit than just to tell you, you need to get your blood work done. Let me explain it to you. Let me tell you why this is important. And please understand, whatever we're doing, whenever you're listening to your girl, none of this is for you to make yourself feel bad, right? None of this is to look in the mirror and say, you know better. You need to be, y'all, you stupid. Or this, and this is not for the negative self talk. No, because our words have power. And so, but this is for you to bring life into yourself, to breathe life into yourself, to say, hey, okay, Lord, I hear you. This is a divine intervention. It is time for me to start paying attention. It's just a reminder, boo, because these are things that we already know, right? These are things that we've heard. But if you're hearing it today, because everyone is not going to hear this message, boo. So if you're hearing the message, that means, what did I say in the intro? It's either for you or if it's for somebody that you know. So we good for pointing fingers and telling everybody else what they need to do. It's for somebody else that you know, or it's for both of y'all. I believe it's for you too. Yes, it is. Let's start with the big one. These are the most important lab results to check and why. It is your blood pressure and your cholesterol. These numbers are so significant. Um, your blood sugar, right? Your cholesterol, your liver enzymes, your complete blood count, your vitamin D and your thyroid levels, your kidney functions, all important. Let's break it down a little bit further. So, we're going to start with your blood sugar, okay? Your blood sugar, that's, fancy word is glucose. That's what you might see on your test result, your glucose. The 3-month test is called an A1C. That is an average of what that means. What have you been eating for the last 3 months on average that has made the sugar in your blood? That means when you eat and your food breaks down into all the little particles and turns into sugar and running rampant in your blood, how long does it sit and tarry in there? That's a Bible word, tarry. How long does it sit and tarry in your bloodstream? Huh? That is what it is. I call it a party. How long is the sugar hanging out, having a party in your bloodstream? Now, normally, what it's supposed to do is what it does, right? It's supposed to go in, your food breaks down, it gets into your bloodstream. The sugar is what your body needs, right? Everybody say the sugar is so bad. No, the sugar is what your body needs in order for you to function. That's the food. It feeds your brain, it feeds your organs, right? Helps you to think clearly, helps you to move, helps your muscles, give it the energy that it needs to do what it needs to do. So the sugar is good, right? It is what? When we overindulge, when it is not. And so your normal range for your blood sugar, 70 to 99, 70 to 99. Pre-diabetes is when your blood is the range is staying from 100 to 125. Diabetes is when your range is 126 and higher. And so that is on average every day when you're eating, you break your food down and it's in your bloodstream. What's normally is supposed to happen is the pancreas excretes what's called insulin. We heard of it, right? It excretes insulin. The insulin, I call them the parents. The insulin is like, hey, come on. The party is over. Let's go. Get where you need to go. Go on up to the brain. Go on down there to the liver. Go on over to these muscles. Go do what you need to do. Come on, get up out of here. The party is over, right? What happens when you have diabetes is that the parents are allowing you, either for some reason, the pancreas doesn't get the message to excrete the insulin, right? Or the pancreas does get the message to excrete the insulin, but instead of it being a house party, it's a warehouse party going up in there, and it is so much sugar. That means what have you done? You have ate all the donuts. You have ate all of the chips. You done ate the chips, the donuts, the ice cream. It's just an explosion of sugar in your body. And so there are not enough. The parents didn't know all of this was going on over here at the warehouse. Instead of you having a house party, your sugar is in there having a whole warehouse party and invite everybody, all the cousins, all the friends, everybody done came. People uninvited, people that's invited, everybody at the party. Your blood is overloaded, right? And so there's not enough insulin to control what is happening. And so that is when the blood sugar stays so high, right? That party is going on for so long. Your glucose molecules, they attach to proteins in your blood. And so what happens is that what happens, think about a party and what's happening at a party when it's just out of control. I want you to see the tables getting broken, right? The walls are getting damaged. All these things are happening at the party. It's out of control. So that's what's happening. Your blood sugar is attaching to other, maybe they at a party and I met somebody they ain't supposed to. That's the protein. Uh-huh. And they just dancing and hitting walls and doing all of the things, right? Damaging your blood vessels and your nerves. And so think about that thing. Now they traveling, right? All the sugar is traveling throughout your bloodstream. So not only is it damaging, your organs, it's damaging, it's going through and it's coming up here in the parties up here in your head and your eyes. So now all those little tiny, tiny vessels that were not even meant to be, all the sugar don't belong in here, right? All of that doesn't belong in there. You don't belong in here. It's too much. Your little vessels in your eyes, they just damaged, getting banged and hit up, right? So what's happening? That's leading to blindness. That's why if you notice you have diabetes, you have to get your eyes checked every year because you're causing damage in your vessels back there. What's happening to your kidneys? The kidneys, those vessels are smaller, right? It's damaging those kidneys. It's damaging your heart. It's going down to your feet. Your feet and the vessels that are in your feet, they're not that big. They can't handle all of that. That is why it's too much, right? And so the pancreas is trying to keep up and produce all of this insulin. It's in overproduction. And anytime, and this is you eating every day. You doing this every day, not every now and then in moderation, right? Not on Fridays because you watching the game and I'm gonna have a good, not because I done had a good week and it's football and whatever else. Not on Sunday because it's the game. No, every day you're eating over and over and over and over again, right? And so your body is not able to produce enough insulin, and then everything is out of control. And so this is really important because diabetes is silent, right? If you've been diagnosed, your blood is not jumping out and saying, hey, it's too much. So a lot of times you don't feel symptoms in most of these. You don't feel symptoms until the damage is already advanced. Your eyes are already damaged, right? Your heart is already damaged. Your kidneys are already starting to show signs of damage. And so this is very important. Next is what your cholesterol. So your cholesterol, I want you to think about oil and water. right? And so think of your blood as the water. And I want you to think of the cholesterol as the oil. And so the cholesterol and the oil is two different types of cholesterol. So there's good cholesterol and there's bad cholesterol. So when you're looking at your numbers and you see total cholesterol, it is the collection of the bad cholesterol. So anything over 200, you need to be paying attention to when it says total. LDL, which is, I just try to help you to remember this. So with the L, when you see that LDL, that is, those are the losers. They on the losing team. Those are the bad ones. Oh, them bad LDL cholesterol. That number is supposed to be under 100. They like that number to be under 100. Y'all can stay in here, but y'all can't be taking over everything. So under 100, okay? The HDL is the good cholesterol. So you want that number to be 50 and above. You want that number to be soaring, right? Your triglycerides, that number is just a fancy word for fat, right? That's just the fat in your blood. You want that number to be under 150. Now, all of this, the cholesterol, we like, oh, the cholesterol is so bad, so bad, so bad. But really, the good cholesterol goes through your veins. I want you to think of them as the cleanup crew, right? The good cholesterol goes through your veins. It's wiping the windows. Oh, it's just shining and just taking all the dirt and the grime off. So, your LDL particles, which are the losers, right? They're coming through there. They're just disrespectful. They're just leaving particles, just dropping stuff. I want you to think of just some little bad kids coming through, just dropping every time they eat something. They just dropping stuff every which way. Right? So your LDL just are dropping particles throughout your blood vessels. And so then the particles are depositing and ganging up into your artery walls. So think about it. So now everything is trying to get through and align, and inflammation is starting because you have stuff on your walls that are not supposed to be there. So that's inflammation starts. Plaque buildup starts to form, right? If you've heard this fancy word, atherosclerosis, that's what that means, is that plaque buildup. So I want you to think of plaque as just like, I always think of plaque as these hard, like that hard, I don't know why I want to think of candy, but like a hard piece of candy, right? And so say that hard piece of candy is stuck on your wall, and then all of a sudden something comes and breaks that piece of candy in half. And it's hard. So you think about that going along and scraping up everything, causing blockage. So one big old block of candy gets stuck, or a rock gets stuck, and that causes a blockage, which is your heart attack. That causes a blockage in your brain. That's your stroke, right? And so you want your HDL to come through and clean up. And so you have to make sure that you're eating the foods that help you to help that HDL level, that HDL cholesterol, so we can come through and remove all those plaque and particles from your bloodstream, and it protects your arteries. High cholesterol is the number one factor for heart disease, for cardiovascular disease, and is often as well symptom free. Who knows that their cholesterol is high until you check your numbers? You don't know. So you have to check. Now, the big one, here we go, is the blood pressure. Your blood pressure, of course, is not a lab result, but of course, you should know at least, what do your numbers look like? What are they? And so, a normal blood pressure, ideal textbook, 110 to 120, right? 70 to 80 of that top and bottom number. If it's elevated, anything over 120, 120 to 129, is elevated. That bottom number over 80, elevated. Now, high is considered 130 and above. that top number, systolic, that top number is 130 and above. The bottom number, diastolic, is 80 to 90 and above is considered high blood pressure. Why is this important? If your blood pressure is constantly high, your blood pressure is the amount of work. I want you to think about your heart as this factory that is pumping blood, trying to get all the resources everywhere that it needs to be. And it has to go through all of this traffic, right? Down through your organs, down the main artery, down your legs, and then come back up again, up to your brain, come back around, circle back around. It is the amount of pressure that it takes for your heart to pump to get everything that you need to think, to breathe, to move on a daily basis, right? It is the amount of pressure that it takes. And so imagine that your heart is working overtime, pumping, 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 pumping. How many of y'all done worked overtime for a week? I'm thinking about the people at Train and people at Kelly and people, that work in these like big factory places that have worked overtime for months on end. How do you feel after you come off a stretch of overtime? I'm just trying to get you a visual. How do you feel after you worked a long shift? If you don't work 12 hours, 13, your 12 hours and turned to 13, 14 hours. Even if you just a mom or dad or you just at home, how do you feel after a long day of just doing way more than what you were expected to do for the day? Now multiply that times how many days and times and years have you allowed to go by with your blood pressure being up and your heart is working, working, just trying to help you to think, trying to help you to breathe, trying to help you to move your muscles, right? Trying to help your body to function and do what it needs to do. So that constant pressure, right? It's damaging your artery walls. All that pressure pushing up against your veins, and then you have the nerve to have plaque and build up and have all this high cholesterol. So then I don't even have a free highway to just go through and do what I need to do. I have to navigate all this traffic. So I'm supposed to have 4 lanes and I only have 1 lane. And I gotta scurry through that because you got plaque buildup coming down every which way. Imagine that. I just want you to get that visual in your mind. So the constant pressure, it puts a strain on your heart. It leads to heart failure because your heart is working overtime for umpteen years, right? It leads to kidney damage because there's way more pressure going through those kidneys than what it's supposed to be. It leads to a stroke. Again, way more pressure going through your brain than what it's supposed to be. And as your body is forcing to push, your heart is forcing all of your blood to go through and push through. It's grabbing, right? Here comes that plaque off the walls because you had to have that fried chicken after Sunday. You had to have that macaroni. You had to have, right? You had to have them French fries. You had to have it. You had to go to Grandy's. You had to go get you some fish. You had to go, right? How many days in a row? You had to have the ice cream. You had to have the brownie. You had to have the cookie. Right? Your blood pressure is known as the silent killer because people don't know that their blood pressure is so high. A lot of times you're going and going and going and you have a headache, but you're going and you used to having this headache. You're going and going and going and you feel bad, but you're used to feeling bad. So you're going and going and going. Now your body is designed to tell you, but we ignore the signs until somebody passes out, until somebody, right, gets a nosebleed where your nose just starts bleeding and won't stop because there's so much pressure that you don't bust a vein in your nose and them little veins, them little vessels, right, and your nose won't stop bleeding. So again, your blood pressure is known as the silent killer. People often don't know they have high blood pressure until organ damage has advanced. And that's scary. We have a couple more. Liver function. Your liver function is one of those I feel like people don't pay enough attention to. Your liver function is your liver is what detoxifies all the blood, all the poison, all the drinking, all the whatever else you're doing, right? You putting into your body. Your liver is what is cleaning all of that up. And so your body is metabolizing drugs, it's metabolizing all the extra proteins that you're eating, and the liver and those cells become damaged because again you're overworking them, you're putting all these extra toxins. It's meant to detoxify the body, but when you drink every day, right, when you're eating toxic and being acidic foods every day and your body is trying to flush, everything is going to become overwhelmed. And so now you have hepatitis, now you have uh, cirrhosis of the liver from all the alcohol. Now you've eaten so much, you have fatty liver. That's me. I have mild fatty liver. Why? Because I leave and work. When I would leave work and go for years, leave work, go get some mozzarella sticks, go get some French fries. I had to have me some waffle fries. But if you're gonna go to Chick-fil-A, like you gotta get the waffle fries, and you gotta get a large because what's the purpose? If you're going, you got to go in, right? You got to go in. So the liver does not have any pain nerves, no damage. It's not going to give you any kind of signals unless you have your AST is your liver enzyme. So 10 to 40 is normal, ALT 7 to 56 is normal, and that bilirubin zero point 0.1 to 1.2. Now, again, it's going to give and take depending on who your facility uses, but the numbers are about that. Okay, and that's in all your ranges. Then you have your CBC. Your CBC is important because that tells you, the health of the cells in your body. Your fighter cells, your white blood cells, your red blood cells. Those are the red blood cells are what carries oxygen throughout your body. So you want those cells to be healthy. So your complete blood count or your CBC, hemoglobin for men is 13.5 to 7.5, women 12 to 15.5. Your white blood cells should be between 4,000 and 10,000. Your platelets, that's what causes your blood to clot, right? Very, very important, between 150,000 to 450,000. If you have low red blood cells, that means the hemoglobin, again, that's carrying oxygen. The red blood cells carry oxygen. That means you may be anemic, right? Anemia is very important because that oxygen is needed for, again, your organs. Your heart needs the oxygen. So you feel tired all the time. You're putting extra strain on your heart. So if you've been diagnosed as anemic, boo, go get the meds. You need them, right? You're not producing enough red blood cells, so you need it. High white blood cells indicates an infection. It indicates inflammation. It indicates leukemia, right? That's a cancer. And so you need to pay attention to these things. Low platelets mean, babe, if somebody hit you and you start bleeding internally, you will bleed internally. No one would know. It means if you slice your finger, hit your head, did something, you are at risk for bleeding, for internal bleeding and not being able to clot. So these things are important. Blood is the body's highway for oxygen, for immunity, and for clotting. And so these imbalances do show early signs of disease. Let me wrap it up. Vitamin D and your thyroid are the last two most important. Your vitamin D should be 30 to 100. This in African Americans is really important, and we lack this. We can get vitamin D from the sun, but a lot of us, because it's hot in Texas, are not in the sun. We're working all day, and then we running to somebody's air conditioning after that, right? So vitamin D levels causes brittle bones. It causes your immunity to be weak. It causes depression. It is a contributing factor. It also causes chronic disease. Your thyroid numbers zero point 0.4 to 4.5. And I always say if you're on the lower end of these ranges, then you need to make sure that you're trying to boost them up as well. That doesn't mean that it's just normal. Do something to boost them up. An underactive thyroid will slow your metabolism down. That may be the reason for the weight gain. It may be the reason for the fatigue. A low thyroid means that your thyroid is overreacting. And so maybe you're having weight loss. It contributes to anxiety. So these things, your thyroid, your vitamin D, your energy, your mood, your bone health, they all depend on these silent regulators, right? Again, the scripture today is Hosea 4.6. My people are destroyed for lack of knowledge. So just like ignoring God's word harms the spirit, ignoring your lab results will definitely harm your body. So monitor your blood sugar, your cholesterol, your pressure, guard all these things, guys. And we'll be back next week. Intervention. Thank you for tuning in to Reflections Choosing Me Guilt Free with your girl, Miss Michelle D.I. Every week, we will have the uncomfortable but necessary conversations as it relates to your mind, your body, your spirit, and emotions. You suffered long enough. It's time to break free. So join me every Monday at 1 p.m. right here on KGLD Radio, where you can fill your spirit with gospel all day long. See you next week.